Okay, welcome back. It's Friday afternoon, and this is the lecture for Monday, January 11, 2021. These are your notes. Have your notebook handy. The topic today is independent and dependent variables. Independent and dependent variables. Come on, there we go. A blank variable is controlled or manipulated. Remember to write this in your notebook. An independent variable is controlled or manipulated. I don't know if controlled or manipulated makes good sense. You could also say is the boss or comes first. And I'll explain to you what that means. It is the input. The nice way to remember this is that the word independent and input are related, and they both begin with the word in. The other one, a dependent variable. A dependent variable is the result from the changes of the independent variable. It is the output or the result. Output. Okay. This is, you should have this information down. Now I'm going to explain it because right now it's like, what are we talking about? We're talking about the word depends. Something depends on something. When we talk about this, we're always going to say that the dependent, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, the dependent depends on the independent. So I can put this in real life. An independent person would be an adult, right? If an adult has a child, that child is a dependent. It depends on the adult. So we can say the child depends on the parent. So that sentence makes logical sense. You're going to use this sentence frame over and over again. I want you to practice it. Please write it down. So here we have a story. Candace runs 8 miles per hour. Okay, which comes first? Do the miles come first, or does time come first? My understanding is if time stops, Candace stops. So the amount of miles she runs depends on how much time she spends running. So the distance, we now have to break it down. Miles represents what concept? It represents distance. Hours represents what concept? Time. You have to think in like what's the category we're looking at. So Candace runs 8 miles per hour means the distance depends on time. And the word per is very important. We're going to use this over and over again. It always has the same pattern. The word in front of per is your dependent. The word after per is your independent. Let's try another one. Reggie saves $500 a month. Well, what comes first? Does the month have to end for him to save the money? Or does he have to save the money for the month to end? This one is the boss. The month has to come first. So that's going to be your independent, right? Independent is afterwards. Time. The money he saves, money saved, depends on how much time or how many months he spends saving money. The next one, we'll do one more, just so you have the idea. I'm going to put this on the Ed puzzle. You tell me what's the independent, what's the dependent, based on what you just saw. Okay, we're going to go over to another idea that's part of this. Make sure you are taking notes as you do this, right? The dependent variable is always y. This is another good note. The independent variable is always x. If you put it into a table, x is always on the left, y is on the right. Well, that also works. X is your input, y is your output. So if you have a horizontal table, it looks like that. Please write those down as examples in your notebook. So when you're graphing independent and dependent quantities, the blank variable is always graphed on the blank graph. Well, I've got the answers right here. The independent is always going to be your x-axis. That's down here. The dependent is always going to be your y-axis. That's right here. So when we talked about miles per hour, this would have been your hour or your time. This would have been your distance or your miles. So the more hours she runs, the more distance she goes. Your graph would look like that. Okay, so now we're going to write a couple of these out. Here we go. Your assignment will look very similar to this. Dependent quantity. How sweet lemonade is depends on the amount of sugar added. That makes sense. And over here, we have the graph. The amount of sugar is your independent. The sweetness is your dependent, and would go like this. The more sugar, the sweeter it is. Okay, we have some other questions down here. Let's look at one. See if we can find one that matches. In this situation, the grade you get on a test. Where's the partner over here? So I'm going to ask that on Ed puzzle. What's the partner for the grade you get on a test? Here's the answer, the number of correct answers. Number of correct answers and your grade on the test. Which depends on which? I want you to answer that question. Grade depends on number of correct answers. Then we graph it. Let's see, this is going to be your x. This is your y. So grade, this will be on your assignment. Grade, number correct, with the C in there, number correct. We'll do one more of these, and we'll be done. Let's see if we can find another pair that works. The amount of writing you do. Which one of these matches up with the amount of writing you do? The number of times you have to sharpen your pencil. Okay, which comes first? Do you write a lot and have to sharpen your pencil? Or do you sharpen your pencil so you write a lot? I mean, one of them actually causes the other to happen. This one causes that to happen, right? So this is our dependent. This is our independent. The number of times you have to sharpen your pencil depends on how much writing you do. Number of times sharpening the pencil. Amount of writing depends on amount of writing. Okay, remember it goes X and Y. So I would put the amount of writing and then number of times I sharpen. The more I write, the more I have to sharpen my pencil so I can keep writing. If I don't sharpen my pencil, I can't write. The writing causes me to sharpen the pencil. Right. The number of times I sharpen depends on how much writing I do. Writing comes first. Okay, that's enough. There are no more parts. Okay.